Hey guys, welcome to the third episode of Cardageddon deck profiles. Today we are going to be showing you what I plan to be is the structure deck for the Earth Land or Gaia World. This is going to be made for the golems, and I think the way I've made it right now is actually perfect for purchase. I feel like if I do ever continue to make structure decks, these are going to be the format I make them in, a simple 20 card deck with some archetypal cards and then some basic cards for the just the element. Now if my camera would focus, we could show you the first card, which is going to be our Earth Land, our Start Earth Land to be specific. This is Gaia World, like the little art. It's, a nice little Earth kind of thing here. Let's go to the next card. Here's your boss monster for the deck. It's the Golem of the Ancients. It's a 6/4 for 6 stars, and it has Pierce, which means if it does more damage than the opponent's creature's defense, the extra damage will deal to the opponent's health. It also has an effect that says once per turn you could pay 2 stars, and then this card gains 1 attack, which means every turn you could pay a majority of your stars in order to just get this guy to a huge amount of attacks, and then use that Pierce to deal more and more damage. Next, with the Golem archetype, we have 2 copies of Golem Warrior. It's an Earth creature, it's a 3/1 for 2, and it states when this card is played, add 1 Golem card from your deck to your hand. It's your searcher, and it also has 3 attack, which can run over most other creatures at the start of the game, and it's also fairly cheap, so this is going to be a very offensive deck, Earth is. Earth has a lot of attack power. Next we have Golem Ball. It is an Earth creature. It's a 0/2. It's very weak, but it does have an effect that gives you draw power, I think. Once per turn, you can discard this card and sacrifice an Earth creature, draw 2 cards. You could banish this card from your DC, free play an Earth creature from your hand with 3 stars or less. This is pretty good. We run 2 of him because he also lets you draw. You could pay 1 star to get him on the field, and then you can just discard another one, then tribute that, draw 2 cards, and then you still have 2 stars left over, which is a pretty good trade-off if you ask me. Next is Golem Knight. It's an Earth creature with Pierce. It's a 4/2, and the Pierce is pretty good because it has so much attack. It also has 3 stars to play it onto the field, and it has the effect that states, during the opponent's turn, you can sacrifice this card, Flash, which means basically can activate it in response to an opponent's thing. So basically, it's like activating a flash spell, which we will get to probably later. When I explain the rules, you will understand this effect better. But then, when you do that, you can free play a golem creature from your deck. We have 2 of these, and your main combo is to sacrifice this guy in order to bring out your Golem of the Ancients. Basically, he's just like a tiny Golem of the Ancients. He has Pierce, he has a high attack, but he doesn't have that attack gaining ability. Next, we run the generic Earth monsters. This doesn't have to do with golems at all, this is just a generic Earth monster. It is the legendary Brown Stone. It's a 1/1 for 2, and it says when this card is sent to the DC, you can free play an Earth creature from your deck with 3 or more stars. So, you can play legendary Brown Stone, tribute it off with the effect of Golem Ball, discard the Golem Ball, tribute this, draw 2 cards, and then you get a free play the Golem of the Ancients from your deck. So yeah, because it has 3 or more stars. So yeah, that's a pretty good combo you can pull off with some of the generic Earth support. Next we run 3 foodie cards. This is a different archetype. This isn't the Golem archetype. Let's read them off. They're just generic Earth creatures. Other foodie creatures you control gain 1 attack, 3 attack, 2 stars, and 1 defense. Next we have Foodie Cheese. When this card is added from your hand, you can free play it. When this card is added to your hand, you can free play it, which means if you actually... I don't think it works with drawing, but I think it does work with this. Foodie Dough. When you play this card, add a foodie card from your deck to your hand. So you can use this to play it, add a cheese, immediately play that cheese, and now you've got 2 creatures on the field, which can be a pretty good defense if you're backed up into a corner. They don't have the highest stats, but they don't need to have the highest stats. Next, we're going to be looking at the 3 generic creatures. Now, every deck from now on is going to have 3 generic creatures of that element. Starting off, we have the 3 generic Earth creatures. We have the 1 star, 1 for 2, Ancient Glorbion. We have the 1-3 for 2, Whiplash. And then we have the 1-4 for 3, Mountain Spirit. And I really like the art for Mountain Spirit, one of my favorites that I've done so far. Next, I think we get into the spells actually. So starting off with the attachment spell, Gem Shield. The attached creature gains attack equal to its star cost, which means if you attach it to the Golem of the Ancients, you are essentially doubling its attack since it costs, I think, 6 stars to play, which means it's going to have 12 stars with Pierce. Your whole combo is to get this onto your Golem of the Ancients. Next, we have an Earth spell. Now, spells can be played during your turn, during your main phase, and if it has an element such as Earth, you must control at least one land of that element, which is no problem for us since we start off with one at the beginning of the game, but for other decks that want to do 2 elements at a time, they're going to need to balance their their lands and all that stuff. Boulder Crash, 2 stars, destroy all creatures your opponent controls. Simple as that. Next we have the Earth Building. Now this is a very complicated card. It is a 2-star to play it as a utility spell because since it's a building, buildings get played in the utility zone, and whenever a creature is played, this card gains 1 counter. Then you can pay 2 stars, and you could play this card from your utility zone as a creature with attack and defense equal to the amount of counters on this card. So if you play this at the beginning of the game when you have no real plays to make, let the board fill up, let you and your opponent play a ton of creatures, and then during the end game when you've wiped your opponent's field, play it as a creature with a ton of attack and defense, and then go in for game possibly. Also another one of my favorite arts. Don't think I'm ever going to make 2 of this card because that was a pain to draw. But yeah, next is just the 3 lands. Every deck is going to have 3 basic lands. These are just going to be lands that you play, so that way you can increase your field size and do your thing. But anyway, yeah, that was the Earth deck. Leave a comment in the comments, I guess, about how you enjoyed the art of this deck, or if you think that this is going to be a better deck than the other 2 decks that you've already seen. Tell me what kind of suggestions you have for new decks or new archetypes, because I am willing to make them. I've got a ton of ideas I'm willing to make, and I think that getting support and feedback from the community could be a great way to continue to advance the game forward up until I release it on GameCrafter, which is not going to be anytime soon. But yeah, this is just the 3rd deck. I really like this one. Out of the other 2, this one has to be my favorite. However, we still have to look at the water deck, and I think that you guys are going to really enjoy the water deck because it is also one of my favorites. But anyway, yeah, that was deck number 3, and I'll see you all in the next video. Peace.